Hey guys, Tiffany here. I have just recently posted on Facebook the dandelion wall that I made for my baby girl's nursery, and I had quite a few friends ask me to do a tutorial on how I painted the dandelions onto the wall. So I decided I'd put one together for you guys today and show you kind of a step-by-step process, the different tools that I use, and how to create your own dandelion. Keep in mind, I have a really dark wall, purple, and so that's why I chose to go with white. If you have a really light colored wall, you might want to go with a black or a dark brown, depending on what your color scheme is in your home. It's fairly simple, and I know that it looks great, but it really doesn't take too much to put it together, so I am excited to be able to share this with you guys today. So first thing you're going to need is you want to protect your floor, okay? We are lucky enough to be in a house that has hardwood floors. If you have carpet in your home, please make sure you have a tarp, a trash bag or something down, because if you have carpets, they will get ruined. You will get paint on your floor. I can pretty much guarantee that that will happen. So the inspiration for my dandelions, I was looking on Amazon, I was looking on Etsy, I was looking on Pinterest, and I was seeing all these decals that people are putting on their walls, and I thought they were really cool. But when I went to go read the fine print, they were saying that the decals have to be on a smooth surface or very lightly textured surface. My walls are already textured walls, so that was not going to be an option for me. In the past, I have used decals, and over time they do tend to just come right off the wall. Now, there may be special glues and things you can buy, but I am not aware of what those are, so that's why I chose to paint the dandelions on the wall. When I was looking through the decals, I noticed that they were a little bit more detailed than what my vision was in the beginning. In the beginning, I was going to just sponge paint and kind of make it look like a cotton ball and just have like the stem and keep it really simple. But when I was looking at the decals, I noticed that they actually had very detailed little wisps that were coming off the top of the dandelions, and I was like, you know what, I want to add a little bit more texture, a little bit more depth to them, so I'm going to attempt to recreate those little wisps. Now, there's ways to do it with a regular small paintbrush, but you'll be there all day, so when we get to that part, I'm going to show you what I did to create that effect. So my advice to you before you get started as well is you want to get a picture of an idea of what you're looking for in your dandelion design. This was the one I used. Fairly simple. It's just a few colors, you know, and when I was talking about the wisps, I don't know if you can see there, but they're very detailed little like shoots of white that come off of the tip of the dandelions. So that was what I was attempting to recreate when I did mine on my wall. So, let's get started, shall we? You need to get your gloves on, unless you don't mind getting dirty, then you don't have to put your gloves on, but me personally, I get really messy. If you can't tell, when I get up, you'll see my clothes, I have paint all over them. I have special clothes specifically for painting. Okay, so here I have an oil pastel, kind of crayon. You can use a pencil. I wouldn't use a marker or a pen, but you want to use something that's going to be light enough so you can see where you want the head of your dandelion to be, and something that's easy to cover. So I just use a little pastel because it just shows up nicely. It's real, you know, inconspicuous once you get to painting. So based on the wall, you're going to want to kind of figure out where your good designs are. After I initially put these up on Facebook, I was thinking, well, they're asking for a tutorial. I said, well, I could always have like the daddy, the mama, and the baby or something like that. So I have no problem throwing up a third one. So I've decided I'm going to do it right here because this is the blank spot on the wall. So use your pencil or your crayon or color pencil, whatever. And you want to kind of just draw the basic outline of where you're going to want the head of the dandelion to be. keep in mind, once we start painting, we're actually going to be coming outside of the circle, but the circle is just being used as a reference to where it's going to be. So once you get that in place, the next thing you want to do is, if you can see in here, I use the color brown for the center dot because that's what the color is in the picture that I printed out. You can use white, you can use black. It really doesn't matter, but I noticed an actual dandelion has brown little seed pods on the bottom, so that's why I went with brown. And I happen to already have it, so that's another good reason. If you already have the tools, use what you got. So we're going to start by putting the little brown dot here in the center. And here I have little brown paint. I suggest you go to Lowe's or Home Depot. They have tables that are set up with discount paints on them, like 50 cents for a thing of paint. It's either mistakes or something that people didn't like, and I have just stocked up on all different colors because you can't go wrong with 50 cents for paint, especially if you paint a lot, or if you plan on doing little painting projects. It's always good to have a bunch of different colors around. So you want to use a brush that's about 1 inch. It doesn't have to be. I mean, it could be 1.5 inch, depending on how big the design is. But this one here is relatively small, so I'm using a brush that's about 1 inch. And you just want to go in the center of your circle and just paint a little circle inside of your circle. Just like that, real simple. I know it's not showing up, but it doesn't matter. It's not really supposed to like stand out a lot. That's just to give the dandelion a little bit more depth. So I'm going to go ahead. I've got my blow dryer here because I want to try to make this go a little bit faster for you guys. So I'm going to blow dry it dry. Now the reason why you want to blow dry it dry is because once I go add more color on top, you don't want the colors to run together. So it's important to dry it before you start with your next layer. Alright, so now that it's nice and dry, you pretty much put your hand over it, it's not smearing. We're going to go ahead and we're going to put the stem on. So like you can see I got the stem here and the stem here. My words of advice is don't overthink the stem. It does not have to be perfect, it's a stem. So some people are like, well, I can't draw a straight line. It doesn't have to be a straight line. You just want it to go down. As long as it goes down to the baseboard, I think you're doing pretty good. So I'm using the white paint. With this one I decided it is about a 1.5 inch brush. It is angled, it doesn't need to be angled. It's whatever you're, whatever you're good with. I just grabbed the brush that was about the same width as the stems that I already drew the other day or painted on the other day. So you want to get a nice liberal amount of paint on your brush because we're going to attempt to go from the very top all the way down. Now I guarantee in one stroke it is not going to be flawless. It's going to have, well, you'll see. We're going to go back and we're going to fill that in towards the end. Because right now we're just trying to get the outline design going. So you want to start here in the center and you just want to bring your brush down. So you see what I'm saying? It's not going to be a perfect line. That's okay. It doesn't have to be. It's not filled in like this one is. But when we go back through, once this one dries, we'll go back through with more paint and we'll just paint it in until it's solid like the other two are. As long as you have a general idea where your line is, I think you're doing pretty good. So once you do your line, the next thing is, now this is going to be your lifesaver because this thing made this project so easy for me. It's a painter's marker. I got it, this one specifically I got at Walmart for like $4. Got it in white because taking a small paintbrush, and I tried this the first time, taking a small paintbrush and drawing these lines is nearly impossible. And the reason why I say it's impossible is because you run out of paint, got to get more paint, it's not quite long enough, and it just starts getting kind of messy. So with this, you can do one continuous line, and it just literally cuts your time in half. So you want to make sure you shake it up real good. To get it going, you usually have to push it down on some sort of surface If you've never messed with these before, but you just kind of want to push it down so you can get the paint to the tip of it. I already did it before we started this recording, so I know it is good to go. Come over to your dandelion, and then you're just going to draw your lines from the center out. Just like that. You're going to go all the way around and draw them out. It does not matter the length. You want to have them different lengths because you're trying to create kind of like a 3D effect with it. So just drawing them from the center out, because on an actual dandelion, they all stem from the pod in the center. So that's why we're making it look like the pod in the center. They're all coming out, all different lengths. Most of this is going to be covered up, and that's why it doesn't really matter if it's perfect, because we're going to paint over it. And when we paint over it, you're just going to see, like I said, the lines through everything. So that's just kind of the effect you're looking for. Like I said, all different lines. That's pretty good. So I'd probably put one right there, one right there, just because they were kind of blank spots. Okay, telling you to save time. Get the marker. It makes it so much easier. All right, now to my secret weapon for this. All right, so I was hunting high and low, trying to find the perfect brush, but I was not willing to pay about $10 at Michael's for a fanned brush. Just wasn't going to do it. I knew there had to be something out there that would be cheaper and easier to use than a fanned brush. Because I don't know about you, but I go through a lot of paint brushes, and I know if I use it like once or twice, I'm probably not going to use it after that because the paint will just, you can never quite get all that paint out. So I went to the dollar store and I got a baby bottle brush. This is the brush you would use to clean out a baby bottle. The top of this brush is exactly what I was looking for. You want to try to get something that has separated fan out. If it's all too close together, then you're not going to get that separation because of the paint on it. Once the paint's on it, it's going to kind of thicken up. So you have to have something that's very separated and fanned like that. What I did was I took some scissors, and I'm doing it kind of sideways so you can see. I cut all of these off of this side. And you can cut them off of both sides. I left them on because I wasn't sure if I was going to use this, so I was like, just in case, I'm going to leave that on. Now the reason why you want to cut them off of one side is because when you go to dab it onto the wall, you don't want any paint that could be on these bristles to go onto the wall. So you're trying to create like a flush paintbrush, basically, with the baby bottle brush. So this is what I use, and I'm actually quite proud of myself for figuring this out. Dollar store, you cannot go wrong. So what you're going to want to do with this is, now I'm using white, like I said, for my dandelions because I went with a darker wall. So if you use black, whatever color you want. But just get your paint, and you're going to dab your brush into it, like so. Kind of get the tips. And then you want to kind of just drag it a little bit to get some of the excess paint off. And then you want to come up, and where these little stems end, that's where you want to kind of dab your little brushes, like so. So you're going to do that quite a bit because, because the paint doesn't stay on the brush very long. So you're about every 3 or 4 of them, you're going to have to apply paint onto your brush. So go through, dab that excess paint off. And like I said, it doesn't need to be perfect because once we start filling everything in, you'll see it'll really just start to fill in. It'll just be really beautiful. There really is no right or wrong way. Just follow your gut, you know. If you're like, I'm not sure how this is gonna look, but I'm gonna try it. If it's the worst thing that can happen is you could just paint over it, you know. I mean, especially if I have a half a gallon still of this purple paint left over from doing this wall. So I was like, you know, if I really hate it and it comes out terrible, I'll just paint over it. So just keep that in mind. It's not like it's there forever. I think that's why some people get intimidated about doing things like this, because they're worried about messing up. Well, I mean, it's okay if you mess up. Just give it another run, paint over it. It's all good. So I'm focusing more on the outside when I paint these on, because that's where the details of the actual little dandelion little bursts are. They're on the outside. You'll see that if you look up on any decals online, is that on the outside is where you're going to see it. You want to try to make it as round as possible, because we all know dandelions are round. So that's why you'll kind of see me coming back in, filling out some of this. I come down there, like we need to go a little bit there, go over the corner there. Okay, so as you can see, I did about, I don't know, 6 or 7 inches worth. I didn't do quite the inside yet, because we're going to make that a little bit easier. It's not going to be as complicated and as detailed as the outside. Obviously, when you go through, if you can see, I went in a circular pattern. So you want to flip your brush upside down when you're over here, and sideways when you're here, and more up when you're up over here. So you want the fan to be going all the way around, you know, on the outside. So next one that I have here is this brush, dollar store, 1-inch brush. I took it and I just separated it. I just kept pulling and pulling until it fanned out. Now, you don't want to use this one for your outside. And reason being, when I was talking earlier about how it's too close together, you need those gaps to make the little details. This is too close together. This is more just to kind of fill in with a fan type of look, but not detailed little points on the edges. So that's what I use to fill in the inside of this area. So we will take our paint and we will put the brush in like so, wipe off the excess paint, and let's see, that looks about good. Okay, and then you're going to go in, again, going in like a circular motion on the inside. So this kind of gives it that feathered look that you see in these. Also gives it that circular, you know, kind of look. So that is how I did this part. Now it's okay to go over the little ones that you did, because you're just giving it more depth when you go through them. So put the brush upside down when you're getting upside down. Just want to make sure you get the edges, all that purple stuff behind filled in. All right, so that is pretty good. I might go over with some more. We'll see in a minute, because now we're going on to the next brush. Dollar store, of course. So the next one, I'm sure you've seen this before. These are those little soap dilly-dallies for cleaning your dishes. But I got it because of the little dot effect that it's going to create in the center there. So got one of these. Again, put it in your paint. I'm going to dab off the excess, which really isn't a lot on this because it's literally so spread out. And then this is where I go into the center here, and I just put a lot of dots. Because when you're looking down on a dandelion, you're not going to see the wisp, because that's how you see it from the edge. But when you're looking down, you'll see dots. So that's why I got this for the little dots. And this is going to be kind of like your fill-in. Wherever you see a lot of purple, you can go through and just dab away. Now I am going to pull out that fan that I did, because I kind of want more of a fan look on top of the dots. Just my personal preference. I am a little OCD, so when I am like looking for a special effect, then I'm gonna do it. So just go through and you'll see again, like it looks really good right there. You can see the separation of the fans. And again, just filling in some of that purple. Cover up the purple. Okay. We are going to take a quick break because I'm going to blow dry it dry, and then we're going to come back with the accent colors and go on to that part. Okay, so now that I've dried this with my blow dryer, the next step we're going to do is we're going to do our accent color. This isn't necessary. If you like it just like this, then leave it just like that. But in this room, for the baby room, I got purple, but my accent color is going to be like a teals and blues. So I happen to have that color paint around, like I said. Home Depot, 50 cents. Oh, you can't go wrong. So on here, I use the teal as my accent color. If you have more of earth tones in your home, you might want to go with like a green or a yellow, which would look really pretty. Another one I was thinking of doing was silver, which would look really pretty, I think, especially if you have a dark wall. Silver accent color would be really nice. So I'm just kind of doing it so I can tie all the color schemes together here. So here's my teal paint. I did not rinse my brush off. You probably want to rinse your brush off, but if you don't, it really isn't a big deal because it's just a little bit of white and teal. It's not going to mess it up. But if you were going teal and white, it might be a problem because it's going darker into lighter. But we're going lighter into darker, so that's okay. So again, you want to just get some on your brush like so. And I didn't do the whole thing all the way around. I just kind of did the top arch part on this one and this one. And that's what I'm going to do here. I guess kind of more for like a shadowing effect. It really is, like I said, just to bring a little bit of burst of color to your dandelion. So you're just going to dab away until you get that desired look that you're looking for. All through. Might go one more round. Bring it in. And let's see. I'm going to have to take a step back so I can get a better perspective of how this looks. And just a little bit more. Just a little bit. Right here. Alright. I think that is good. Okay. So now that you're done that, we're going to go through, down here, we're going to go through with the brown again. Just a little bit of paint on the tip of your brush. Now at this point, your brush is a little dry. That's actually exactly what you want, because you want it to be like separated bristles. And you'll see what I mean here in a minute. Coming back up, I went over the white with dabs, because I just kind of wanted to show the center little pod just a little bit through and make it more round so people can see. It's all about the circles in this thing. Just keep going around and just a little bit, not a lot. Looks pretty good. I think that's good. Looks good to me. Okay, last step. So that's pretty much it as far as your dandelion goes. I mean, you can see from the ones I posted on Facebook, it's pretty much the same. It's just a little version of it. So now we got mama, daddy, and baby. So cute. All right. So the last step, I told you about your stem and it being not fully put in with the paint when you go through that initial line. Like I said, that's okay because we are going to go over it. Now this is, you want to take this one a little bit more slow than everything else I've done, because you don't want your stem to be too fat. You pretty much want to stay as close within the guidelines of your initial paintbrush stroke. So for me, it's just real slow. You want to make sure you have ample amount of paint on your brush, because that's how you get that jagged edge, is when you don't have enough paint on your brush. But you don't want too much paint because you don't want it to be running down the wall. So this is where my total anal retentiveness comes in. Because I will sit there. I've sat there with these lines. The first time I did it for a good 30 minutes just on the lines. I did, initially, I added a little bit of brown, which I'll show you that like towards the end. And just to kind of, like I said, give it a little bit more depth, a little bit more like contrast. Let's see. So I'm going to go ahead and fill this in. I think you guys kind of have a general idea of what you need to do here. So I'm going to go ahead and fill this in, and then we'll just come back with the brown, and I'll just show you how to blend that in with the white.
Go.
All right. So now that we filled it in pretty well all the way through, we're going to go through with the brown. Now you want to do this while your white paint is still a little wet. What I'm going to do here, actually I'm going to come through and use my white brush to blend. But I'm going to put just a little bit, I mean like itty bitty bitty bit. You're going to dab your brush in. And what I do is just kind of dab it on there like so. Again, like I said, you want to do it while your paint is still wet, because that's how you're going to blend the white and the brown together. So just a couple little dots like that. You're going to take your white paintbrush and you're just going to streak it through just like that. And that's how you kind of get, like I said, just a little bit more depth to the stem. It's quite simple little technique. I mean, but it's nothing, it's nothing huge, but it gives it something, you know? It's just the little subtle effects that I think are pretty cool. I'm going to do a little bit more closer to the pod up there. So you can see, let's see, down here a little bit. Awesome. There you have it, folks. That is it. That is how you paint a dandelion onto your wall. If you have any questions, feel free to message me, Tiffany Angel Garcia, on Facebook. Have no problems going over colors or little tricks to the trade. I tried to share everything that I did here with you guys so you have an idea of how to create it and do your own dandelion. Now, you know what I think I'm going to do real quick, because he just fanned across. So he showed you the little flyaways that I have. I'm going to do one little flyaway for you guys so you can see how that is done. So I think I might want to do one like right about maybe here. Okay. So you're going to kind of, again, look and see where, you know, your blank spot is. You're going to take your marker, that white paint marker. You're just going to draw a line, like so. Real simple. Then, you're going to take, now this, you're going to take your brown, or whatever color you want. Whatever color you did your pod. You can do your pod white too, and it could just be a little bit of fatter white on the end. Like I said, I did my little pod brown, so just gonna add the brown to one of the tips. Like so. You want to kind of try to make it like round, like oblong and rounds, because that's what the little seed looks like. And then for the little fan part, we're gonna get our little baby bottle brush with some paint on it. The white paint first, and you just want to dab it on there. Now see, this one has the blue still, which is actually okay because on the other ones, I put blue on top, so it doesn't really matter. So that is basically how you're gonna do your little wisps on the edge of your dandelion seeds. Let's see. I'd like to try to get a little bit more detail, but I think that'll work. I'm good with that. So that's basically it. That's how I created a little wisp that went across there. Mine, personally, had too much paint on it. So you want to make sure you dab that paint off real well so you can get the separation a little bit more like they are on those. This one, you can see what happens when you have too much paint on your brush. It kind of globs it together. So realistically, I'm probably going to get my purple out, paint over that, and put another little dab on there. But that is the general idea of how you want to do your little flyaway pods. So that's it. Thank you guys. I hope this video was helpful. Again, like I said, if you have any questions, feel free to message me anytime. And if you do use this tutorial to create your own, I would love to see the pictures of your room and how you did it. All right, thank you so much.